Let us come to order. Today is June the 28th. We're at the Civic Center for two reasons. They called a special meeting first to talk about the sanitation ordinance and then a regular workshop meeting. Please call the roll.
Miss Blackburn.
Here.
Miss Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here. Applause is appropriate. Welcome to the table. We're glad to see you. Know the situation must be better that you're here, and we're very glad for that. Very much so. I called the special meeting about the sanitation ordinance because of a sanitation problem, not a trash pickup problem, not an appearance problem, but a sanitation problem. And that we've got a lot of trash around town that has not been picked up now, some of it as much as for 3 weeks. It also, it gives me a bit of apprehension about the 10,000 people we got inbound for the 4th of July weekend here in Mexico Beach. And I believe that the council caused a lot of the pickup problem by simply passing an ordinance asking the residents to bring it to the curb. And this hasn't necessarily worked too well for many reasons. Some are just as simple as we have several hundred people who don't live here. They either rent their houses or they're weekenders, just have a beach property. We have some folks that are just doing the last great act of defiance, I ain't gonna do it. We have other people trying to work around the ordinance, try to work with it. I appreciate the people who have tried to work with it, but it's my opinion that we made a misstep when we changed from backdoor service. And what I'm asking the council to do tonight, in my opinion, is to enact an emergency ordinance, simply strike one sentence from our sanitation ordinance that we recently passed, which would in effect start backdoor service again on Thursday. And that'll give us 90 days. An emergency ordinance is only good for 90 days. It'll give us time to go back and look at the sanitation ordinance more closely to determine what we want to go forward with exactly. There are a lot of provisions in the new ordinance that's just fine. Some of the rate structures, some of the commercial pickup structures, some of those things are just fine. I would open the table up at this time for discussion.
Okay, I'll start. When we did this ordinance, we talked about it for months. And we gave notice to the public about in April that this would take effect in June. Yes, some of the areas look trashy. On the other hand, there are bags of garbage outside of the one garbage can, and that really is against our code. We're not supposed to pick up any bags of garbage. If they were in additional cans, it would not look so trashy, and each house is able to have 3 of the cans available. So if the citizens would go along with our ordinance that says no trash in bags will be picked up and put them in the cans, it would look a little bit cleaner. I am not in favor of completely going back to the old way. I think we should be able to compromise. For some reason, we talked for months that it was a good idea to bring it to the curb. And we also said if it wasn't working after a couple months, we would tweak it. And from what I'm hearing, we don't want to tweak it. We just want to go back to the other way. And so I'm in favor of looking at how we can tweak this to make it work. Does everybody have to be the same? No. Does one area, down where I live, the 98, people don't get their garbage picked up by 98. I do not leave my garbage out even though it's in the alleyway, or I shouldn't say alleyway because oleander, because of the bears. So we bring it out every morning that our garbage is picked up. That's just the way we have to do it to keep the bears from spraying it all over the ground. So bringing it out every morning or the morning unless you're not living there. But when you have the garbage company out at the Cape, they charge extra. You can pay a fee for them to go back and pick up your trash. And maybe that's what we need to do. If we went to a private company, which I'm not saying we haven't even talked about it, but if we did, that would be one thing that they would demand: garbage pickup at the street. They wouldn't even consider it. But maybe there's a couple of options. So I would like to be able to tweak it and come to a compromise, rather than just all of a sudden after 3 weeks say, let's go back to the old way. We made a decision because we thought it was the best. Let's tweak it. We find some flaws in it.
Speak up.
Well, me being away for a while, you know, I have concerns. At first, we asked the employees how we could do something better, and we listened to them. It kind of, if we don't listen to them, I'm not saying we have to do everything they say, but we kind of ignore that, it doesn't look good. You know, I heard mentioned early on when I was at the meeting, maybe a legal issue, and then I read some stuff here. Most of the people are fine with it. I worry about that one that isn't fine with it, you know, on a legal basis. Too, we're not the only city in Florida that's asking for us to pick up curbside. And then, you know, the city, I guess we do things, we should do things like a business. And when I hear the pushback on things about it, I wonder if we could do things better, or it would help us save money or be able to do things better, would they run their business like that and just throw it out? And that's some things and then again, I understand timing might not have been real good. Maybe it would have been good to get through this season and then think about it. You know, I don't know if Saturday pickups for the rentals when they change, I don't know if that's possible or whatever, but there's a lot of things that maybe we need to look at closer to compromise. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm, you know, again, not being here, I'm catching up and trying to take in everything that's going on.
I've been able to pass the buck since I didn't have anything to do with this to begin with, but now I do have a vote. So I have to try to make some sense out of this. I think the timing was absolutely wrong to make any changes in sanitation pickup coming into the busy season here. I think if we're going to make any changes, I don't know that we can tweak this right now because we're right in the middle of all this, you know, 8 or 10,000 people coming in here. So I think we should have time to reconsider, look at all the pros and the cons, listen to what the people have to say, sharpen your pencils as far as the sanitation department is concerned, that they've been able to operate under their own revenue. Isn't that not correct? Tax money is not keeping sanitation going, which is unusual for a town this size. So I think I'm going to have to go with the non-tweaking idea and go with setting it back where we were and taking that 90 days or whatever and really look at the pros and the cons in the different situation. I talked with Philip a bit today, and we're real close to, because of, and everybody's seen the houses going up. We've got more people moving in, and the next year or two we're going to have more people moving in, and we're looking at a third crew garbage pickup. So you've got the third truck, you've got two or three more guys working. Right now we just have 6 people working in garbage pickup, and the whole idea in the very, very short time that this worked, what was it, 2 weeks? 3? A lot of people the last week have complied with the request to take it to curbside. Nearly everyone on my little short street take it to curbside anyway. I think it would be a big help, no matter how we go about this, if people that can't afford to and are in physical condition to do this would take their garbage to the curb on that day that it's pickup. That would save a lot of time. And we're trying to look at some other things that would save a lot of time, so we're putting off bringing on that third crew. And when you bring on the third crew, you've got truck expense, you've got 3 more people on the staff, and all kinds of more expenses. And I just think we need the time to think about it. I was in charge of sanitation in the city in Kentucky for about 4 years, and we had like 45 people in sanitation. We've got 6 people here, and they do a good job of what they do. And some people take advantage of the situation, like is typical, but I think we need to use this time, the next, 3 months, to look at what's possible, because everybody sitting up here is wanting everybody out there to be happy too. And it's difficult for everybody to like everything that's going on. You can't please all the people all the time. And here lately, sometimes it's difficult to please any of the people. So give us some time to think about that. And I think by and large, I think if the city asked folks, on your garbage pickup day, bring it to the curb, you know, it would help us so much. And then the crew that's picking up, they'll remember these things. And they know the people that they need to go behind the house and pick up for that can't physically afford to bring their garbage to the curbside. But we've got to be looking in the future of ways to save money and save time to avoid the sanitation department. We're trying to keep them not growing quite as fast as everything else is growing around here. So that's my 2 cents worth.
I have a question. I've got lots of thoughts, of course. But I do have a question. You said there's been garbage that hasn't been picked up since
3
we
weeks.
started this? Where?
Well, I know one right offhand, I don't want to call that person's name, but there's some that I saw in several places in the garages that hadn't been picked up,
Okay, and these are second homeowners, perhaps?
more than likely.
Okay, all right, so there's a few.
A few.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Because I've been driving around, just like I'm sure all of us have been driving around, trying to monitor this, this disaster. And I shouldn't use the word disaster, because I don't think it is a disaster. First of all, everybody gives kudos to the garbage men, the garbage crews who do a job that most people don't want, and most of them do it with a smile and a wave. So always kudos to those guys. Now, I think it's been a lesson learned. We're learning lots of lessons the hard way, but at least we're learning them. So the first lesson I think that we should have learned is somehow, and I'm not exactly sure how we can do it, but we need to get citizen input before we pass an ordinance so that we don't have to backpedal. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but we need to be more proactive in making these things, all of our meetings are public. You are all able to come to every single meeting. I know it's a chore for us. But somehow, we need to get your input before we pass an ordinance, not after. That's not my screen up on there, is it? Okay, you scared me there for a minute. I didn't have my glasses on. So I've done some research in the last few days about sanitation ordinances. And I'll have, if you can bring that up for me, Mark, I would appreciate it.
It doesn't want to open.
It doesn't want to open. I've called, I researched 12 coastal cities in Florida, coastal cities. I tried to compare apples to apples. After the 12th city, I thought, this is kind of fruitless, because all of them except one and even that one was iffy, required curbside service. I don't think curbside service is a bad word. I think it's expected in probably 99% of the towns in Mexico Beach, in the United States. We are not the only town that has vacation rentals, so it is not something that vacation renters are not used to. That being said, the one thing that I did learn that was eye-opening to me was there's flexibility in curbside. The majority of those towns, and if you can find it, I've got a list of them, but the majority of those towns had flexibility. Some of them said you couldn't do curbside. You had to do curbside everywhere except on a tourist corridor, like Highway 98. Some of them had, for an additional fee, you could do side yard pickup. There was only one city that I found that had side yard pickup at no additional cost. I think that was Vero Beach. Some of them had areas where certain part of towns didn't have to have the curbside pickup. They did something else creative. My point being, there is flexibility. We need to start thinking outside of the box, and we cannot have okay, thank you, it's kind of small. We can't have a one-size-fit-all ordinance. I've said before, my side of town, which is the east side of town, is very different from the west side of town that has vacation rentals. So I don't think there's anything wrong, and I'll try to, be a little quicker here, but I don't think there's anything wrong with, number one, requiring curbside service. As long as we can be flexible, we may have to compromise, may have to have a different set of regulations for vacation rentals, second home property owners. I think we just need to be creative and think outside the box. So it sounds to me like we certainly need to address the ordinance as is. Not opposed to that at all. Do I think that the situation is an emergency? I do not think this is an emergency. I think, as Rex pointed out, many citizens have solved their problem. They had a problem with it. It's different. It requires an extra step, but many people have already solved their problem of taking it out to the curbside. Not everybody, and I get that. And there's still people, I got calls the other day that they just realized, they just found out about the change. So there's a learning curve. You can't read that, so that's kind of pointless. But go to my pictures if you would. There's a couple pictures on there. Okay, I took these last night. Sort of what Linda was saying was we've got garbage cans. One of those garbage cans isn't even full, but yet they put the garbage bag on the outside. Go to that other picture, please. Come on. Okay, and yeah, there you have 2 garbage cans overflowing and 5 bags. And that wasn't the worst one. I actually took 5 pictures. I don't know what happened to them on my phone, but there was a worse one than that. This is on Highway 98. It was worse. It had 2 garbage cans and it had probably 20 garbage bags. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't think that's 1 week's worth of garbage. And then a couple doors down from that one, there was a vacation rental that had 2 or 3 garbage cans out, tight-fitting lids, very neatly laid out there on the street. They completely complied with every ordinance that we have. So my point in bringing that out is it's not all the city's responsibility. Homeowners, property managers have some responsibility in this situation too, and we have to work together to make Mexico Beach look really nice. So it's not just us up here causing the problem. That's a problem under whatever ordinance we have. Now, back to the emergency ordinance. I did talk to Nick, because, you know, I don't really like the fact of going back to the old way. Only because some people have complied. I think it confuses the issue. So, do I think we need to change? Yes. So hold on a minute, and let me just bring something up. I have to find it first. The regular, I'll just bring up. In the regular ordinance, it says, I asked Nick about, can we change, and Mel chime in here, can we change the emergency ordinance? Can we change the wording of the emergency ordinance? I don't necessarily agree with taking out the curbside, okay? Bear with me 1 second and let me find the regular ordinance. So Nick did say that yes, we can change the wording, we can keep the majority of it and tweak the wording of the, here it is, of the ordinance. But then I found this. So let me just ask. It says in here, okay, collection practices, it says A, garbage and trash accumulated, blah, 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 twice a week in the summer, spring and summer, once a week in the fall. This is section 3A, if anybody has it up there. Trash cans must be taken to the curb on the scheduled day of pickup unless arrangements are made with City Hall. So let me propose something. If that's the case, if arrangements can be made with City Hall, that's you. One of my suggestions, or you guys, one of my suggestions to Nick was, because in many of the other ordinances of other cities, it gave the city administrator flexibility. So let's throw out 37th Street. Now, I've driven up and down 37th Street since we've started having the complaints. Many, many, many people are complying. They figured it out somehow. But let's just take that as an example. So 37th Street homeowners get together with Mel and they say, no, this ain't working for us, we can't figure it out. Mel comes up, I don't know, with an idea, maybe it's the old way, whatever it is. And so they have just made special arrangements with City Hall. This is only temporary, this is only for the 90 days until we can figure everything out. Pelican's Roost, they've been vocal here in the last few days. Maybe all of the owners of Pelican's Roost come and say, hey, you know, can we maybe do this? And so for 90 days, Mel gives them the permission to do whatever until we can figure it all out legitimately. Rather than, like Jerry said, curbside is more efficient. I think most people realize that. Is it a pain for some people? Yeah, but you know. If the second homeowner just absolutely can't figure it out, they make an arrangement with Mel for 90 days until we can address it, you know, ordinance-wise. That would be my suggestion. I'd like to toss that out.
Okay. We'll go to the floor for comments, please. Please.
Yes. Oh.
I'm Al Cathy. I'm a business owner, I'm a citizen, and I'm trying, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm trying to understand sanitation is a customer-driven service. I don't recall seeing on TV or hearing where the customers came to you and said, we need to change what we're doing. What you as our elected officials, you're force-feeding us something that we didn't ask for. So all of this dialogue, where are the customers? Where's the feelings of the customers that are paying the bills? I haven't heard anybody say anything about that. You talked a lot about that 6 months ago, you did all this and nobody came. Well, why would anyone come? Why would you think we would change the best service the city has? I was astounded to see that the council decided to take a customer-driven service with no demand from the customers to change it, and you changed it. Somebody needs to explain that. I think we as customers deserve some explanation besides we were trying to help the sanitation workers. They do a great job, but I'm not used to or thinking that the people making the rules would tell the customers, this is what you're going to do. Doesn't make sense to me.
Bobby Paul, 215 Kim Cove. Been here, 12 years, been coming out here since I was a year old. But my dog and I like to ride around. I never saw the trash until y'all made a change. Most people that I know in the local neighborhoods move their garbage out at garbage day. The biggest problem you got is the vacationals. You cannot expect a vacation person to take the garbage out on the day he leaves. If he leaves on Saturday, it's going to be there till Monday or Tuesday. And we're not other cities, Mary, I'm sorry. We're Mexico Beach. People move to Mexico Beach because they like the way it is. I ran for office years ago, and everybody I talked to, especially on the back streets, said, do not mess with our sanitation. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
Mr. Gilbert.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Chuck Guilford, 104 Miramar. Mexico Beach initiated its garbage service in 1972, and it has been one of the cleanest cities in Bay County all that time until this last sanitation ordinance was passed and changed, and now it's become just a garbage-strewn city like a couple of other cities in the county that is now trying to change their private garbage contractors, you know. What I would like to say is that I believe this ordinance was changed without the implementation of the majority of the permanent residents here. Now, I know that each one of you are sitting there because you were elected by a majority of the permanent residents. To the best of my knowledge today, the majority of the permanent residents do not like the new garbage ordinance one way or another. And I would appreciate very much if you could go back to the old one. I will give you one prime example. I do own several rental houses, 2 of them. One of them has the garbage just 20 feet from the road. The other one has garbage 30 feet from the road. Easy to get to, but due to the direction of the director of the public services, they were not allowed to pick up my garbage from my rental houses, and it pretty bad, you know. Anyway, please go back to where we were, and let's go back to one of the best garbage services there is. And yes, we might have to tweak it just a little bit, but not quite as much as I'm hearing. Thank you very much.
Anyone else, please? Okay. I met with sanitation workers Friday morning. The 6 guys that are out there picking up the trash. They've been beat up pretty bad by a lot of folks, and our smiling, waving trash guys are not so happy right now. And they certainly don't want us to go back to the old way, because they feel like the new way is helping them. I don't necessarily agree that they have helped the situation. And the situation you just talked about, I understand, because I also watched the pickup practices, and even though some citizens made a good faith effort to move their trash from the back of the house into the driveway, it was still passed when it wasn't right on the curb. That's not what we're looking for. I still think that this is a misstep. I still think an emergency ordinance, just to set this aside for 90 days, to get to some compromise and not try to manipulate something over the next several days, which is going to be impossible to manage in the next few days. Mr. Hall.
Yes, sir, I just want to point out, if anybody wants to beat anybody up over this, you can beat me up, but do not beat sanitation up. They had nothing to do with this. They're doing their job. Regardless, I've told each council member up here that I've spoke with, regardless of what the council chooses, we'll do it. We'll make it, we'll rock and roll, we'll do what we got to do. That's our job, that's what we do. But it's not fair to take it out on those guys. It is absolutely not fair. They got the worst job in the city. It's nasty, it's hot. Just, you want to beat somebody up, beat me up, but don't beat them up. That's all I ask.
Philip, or Mel, in the ordinance that we have now, as Mary stated, curbside unless arrangements are made with City Hall. So we have opened the door to anybody in the city that says, I cannot take my garbage to curb. I mean, it's in the ordinance here. Has anybody contacted you?
They have, and we had made quite a few compromises because some people realize that, like you were saying, they're here and they go home on a Sunday. They can't come back on a Tuesday morning or a Thursday morning to get their trash set out. They don't want to hire someone to do that for them. That may not be friends of theirs next door that could do it on their behalf or anything. So we compromised by allowing some people to put enclosures out in the front. Now keep in mind, enclosures, according to the ordinance, are not allowed unless they're on the side of the house or the rear of the house. But we compromised by allowing people to put it out front. In particular, 37th Street is an example. A lot of people have done that, have done a good job of working with us on that. And you're right, 37th Street doesn't seem to have a garbage problem from the unsightliness that some of the others do have.
So, change is difficult for many, many people, for all of us at some point. So those people that have attempted to follow the ordinance by putting an extra trash can instead of one in lots of bags, or contacted the city, there have been people that have tried to accommodate and have accepted it and doing fine. What we're hearing are the few that haven't contacted the city or look around and see all this trash, or there are some citizens that just say, we're not going to follow it. See what they do to us. So there are a few that just have said, don't bother with it. Okay.
Is there any more discussion at the table?
I just have a question for the board. We have talked about this for months, and I know, Jerry, you weren't on the board, but you were in the audience and you did participate. So I seem to recall that all of us thought curbside was the best way to go. Why did we think that? Why? Does anybody even remember why we even thought of going to curbside?
Yes, I do. We had a master plan to go with this. The first phase of the plan was garbage to the curb. The second phase of the plan was going to a common type container for the city and putting tippers on the back of the sanitation truck. And then, but still, it was never we never completed phase 3, the full cycle where the customer would have to carry the can back. It was just a method to get the trash to the curb, then consolidate cans, then put tippers on the truck. And we could really economize by going to one pickup a week, just like Waste Pro does in Gulf County, but still maintain the integrity of our sanitation system. That was the master plan. It was cost effective and we felt doable. And I must say, even though I think we should go back, I personally think we should go back because I don't think it's worked. But at the same time, I still agree with our planning process as we went along. I still agree that would work. Yes, sir.
If you pass this around, I think I sent that to the city. I don't know if y'all seen it or not. As a resident on 37th Street, I wish y'all would pay close attention to 37th Street because that's the busiest street in this town. And this weekend coming up, you're gonna realize it. That's where the pier is. We bought a receptacle to put 32-gallon garbage cans in it. Y'all picked up garbage yesterday. I went by my house to my townhouse. I got a rental right next door to it. The daughter-in-law's got a house next to ours. We have 2 of those. Our side of the street is the west side. I mean, the east side. And our trees are different from the west side over there. Our trees are set back next to our walk. And we wanted to put them next to the tree where you'd have to walk 10 feet, where we could tie a cable around them, around the tree during the hurricanes and the tropical storms where they won't blow away. Mr. Phillips told me that it had to be right there at the curb and or it wouldn't be picked up. My son-in-law came down, I pushed it out to the street, they picked up the garbage. First time it was next to the tree and they didn't pick it up. So I pushed it out for my daughter-in-law and they picked it up. Well, he came down this weekend and pushed it back to the tree. Well, they came in yesterday, walked up there and picked up his garbage. They picked mine up. I went by just before I came here, and my garbage can, one of them was slim full. The other one had about 12 or 13 empty water bottles in it. The day after you picked it up. They didn't come from our rentals, because they put theirs in there the day y'all picked it up. We live in townhouses on 37th Street where you have 8 units. And the only way you go get it to the curb is drag it through your little townhouse. We have hardwood floors in the rental unit. I don't want nobody dragging a garbage can through my hardwood floors, and I don't think any of y'all would like that. I'm not sure if all y'all ever been on 37th Street. But one of the other problems is, and where that garbage comes from, all those cars that park in the center that go to the beach and go to the pier, y'all are not even adequate to handle those people's garbage that's coming off the beach and coming off the pier. The stench as you go up to the pier is so bad, if you get past that, you might live, but it's pretty bad. And it's not coming from the restrooms because they keep them clean. But it's coming from 3 garbage cans that are in a little container made out of wood, and the other garbage can is sitting outside, exposed. Your ordinance says the garbage can should not be exposed. Now we have people in these units that are elderly that can't carry garbage cans through there. And it's a problem for us on 37th Street. There's a gentleman in here that lives on 37th Street when the garbage used to be out front and those rickety little containers where they had the garbage cans. People would come by and throw the garbage out or leave it in the street. He and I would get up on Monday mornings with a big bag and have to get up there and pick up baby diapers, empty beer bottles, and everything else to clean that street up. When we put it all to the back, we had to go and sign for the mayor at that time a letter that we all would agree to having it in the back, and they said that'd be wonderful to clean that street up. So we did, and it's been like that ever since, and we've never had no problems with it up until now. So y'all are not in compliance by not having enough containers to handle all the people that's going to be here this coming weekend. Y'all need more garbage cans, and that way what they're doing is putting it in the ones not next to the curb. Now, Mr. Phillips said he was on where you go pick it up, but he picked up my son-in-law's 10 feet back. 30 feet over where the other townhouses are, they're at the curb, but they pick them up and carry them back 30 feet to the front door on private property. And you said you're not going on private property. But you got to make, you know, changes for people like that that's got 8 units together. You can't drag it all the way around. And tenants that leave out on Friday on rental units, they put the garbage in there the day after you'd picked it up. And so it's got to sit there from Friday to Monday. And that smells. And what's going to happen, once this wind gets blowing on over in the woods, the animals will come start looking for the smell. There's people in here that had a deer a month or two ago try to go through the storm door on one of the units. They're coming in town on account of they smelling the garbage. And it's, I would like for y'all to go over there come Monday and look at what these sanitation people will have to go through to clean that street up. It's a problem. It's a problem for the people down here renting and vacating, but this city is an unusual city. 15th Street East is more residential. 15th Street overall, this way is rental. Now the condos have got big containers. That's no problem with garbage on them. But the townhouses on 37th and 38th Street and the ones that are facing the water, it's a problem. Because I know the garbage truck pulls up in to those parking lots on private property to pick up their property, their garbage. But it's a different situation on 37th and 38th. I know other people that are in residentials that they probably have problems getting their garbage to the street. Where I live a good ways off the street. It's about 150 feet, but I have to carry my garbage out there. But here, only way the rentals got to do it is drag it through my townhouse. And I try to keep one as nice as my home. But some people are old people that just can't do that. And so arrangements have got to be made for, like I say, you got a problem down here, down the street, that probably I wouldn't have that problem. And they wouldn't have my problem. But that street brings in more revenue for a bed tax than any other street that I know of in the city. But we're running them off. Plus, on top of that, if we keep this up and all the garbage on that street, it's going to cost us on the value of our townhouses if you got ready to sell it. Because nobody wants to pull up and look at a townhouse to buy with garbage everywhere. And that's what they're doing. People are not putting garbage cans out there, they're putting garbage bags. And the animals are going to start tearing into them, it's going to start scattering, I guarantee you. Happened before. So I wish y'all would very seriously look, or just drive by 37th Street and look at our containers, which Mr. Phillip and the city manager approved of. But I'm gonna push it back and hope that he'll pick mine up like he picked my son-in-law's up. I mean, you gotta make some arrangements with that. We're trying to be safe and tie ours down to a tree in case of storms, because they're not real heavy. The only time they're heavy, and we make our tenants put all their garbage in plastic bags. We furnish the plastic bags. And they're big enough, and 2 cans to take care of our garbage for our people. But they're not big enough for all the people in the middle of the street to use them too. And that's the problem, because all of y'all's garbage cans go up there and look at them this afternoon, are probably full too. The day after you picked them up. So, thank you for your time. And I'd like to have my paperwork back.
For those of you who didn't see what he gave us, it's a out-of-sight garbage can enclosure.
I just want to thank you. That was informative, and that was one example of how we need to work with people. If we need to go an extra 10 feet to pick up his garbage, then we need to do that. Philip, how many large garbage containers do we have at the end of the pier?
We have 3 32-gallon cans, and there's a 35-gallon, and then we used to have 4 on the pier, but some of them got thrown off. We never did get those back.
All right, well, maybe...
And we've added, today and yesterday, we've added extra cans on the beach for this coming up week.
All right, how about the pier? Because I would imagine that would be very frustrating, and I can see how the cars in the center park and they come off the pier and just say, oh, there's the closest garbage can. So maybe we can find, even if we have to go out and get them, buy them, if we can find some garbage cans, additional ones for the holiday weekends, Memorial Day, 4th of July, the summertime. We don't need it. Okay, well, maybe we need a couple more. I mean, that's what I'm saying. How many do we have? But if it's still a problem, then maybe...
We've added roughly 40 between yesterday and today.
No, I'm just talking about the pier area, that pier
Wow.
road, 37th Street. So, I know the rest of the beaches too, but what I'm hearing him saying is that theirs gets overloaded, not just from their tenant or from there, it's from everybody walking off the pier. So maybe we can find a compromise to help them out.
And we have additional pickup days at this time of year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have full garbage cans every hour on the hour in the next couple of days. So, I mean, it's gonna be a constant, and it gets, it gets busier every year. We all know that. So it's going to continue to be a problem, but I mean.
We have plans for this weekend.
So there'll be garbage pickup Friday and Saturday and Monday and Tuesday and...
Saturday, Sunday, I mean, we'll be picking up all weekend long. The boat ramp, the pier, the beach, the dumpsters, not residential,
No.
just, the areas for the public and restaurants.
How about that canal road, even though it's closed, there's a lot of
Yes.
people that go there.
Just a moment, Mr. Mullen.
Jack Mullen, 121 Miramar Drive. Second time I've spoken on this ordinance, and I oppose it. I want to go back just a little bit in history, because last summer, the council raised our rates 13%. And we hardly got into the budget year, and then the next thing, we're having our trash picked up less often, and we're getting the customer to do the work. Citizens have to do the work that the sanitation department was doing. The level of service that has been provided has been that way for decades. Other councils have looked at this issue and come to the same conclusion. This is what the citizens want. In the last meeting, in this meeting, the same thing. Nobody comes up here and says, hey, that's great, I like paying more and doing the work. The issue is that, that's the level of service our citizens want. And I support going back to the old ordinance 633 and providing that level of support. And now the second thing I want to comment on is, I didn't know this until tonight, that the city has been providing approval to move trash containers out to the road. I don't know how many of you have driven around. You say you've driven around. If you went down 30th Street, there's 8 houses and 5 trash containers out at the road. If you get down 42nd Street or Miramar Drive or Circle Drive, people are doing that. And I didn't know the city was approving it. I mean, how do you say no to one person and yes to another one? What's happening so far, it looks like Hogan's Alley. Everybody's got their trash out front. And we had a beautiful city. We had this under control. So I oppose that also, and I don't think the council should be approving those kinds of exceptions. Thank you.
Please come up.
Diane Lanier, 37th Street. I just wanted to add to what Jim was saying. We live on the opposite side of Jim on 37th Street. And I would like for all of you to figure out just where we're supposed to put these cans with no land. And now, Ms. Blackburn, I know I've spoken with you before, and we have no land to put these garbage cans on. So tell us where we're supposed to put them. Our side is different from Jim's side. They have room. We don't. And I know that you said also, I wanted to address the people that you said that were unable to get their garbage cans to the front, you would pick them up. We had a lady on our street that did call you. Her cans were not picked up.
I can assure you, if they called us, they would have been picking up.
They weren't. They weren't.
We didn't
She
get
she
called.
was unable. Yes, she did. She
not
called
arguing
you
with her.
and she was
We addressed everybody that's called.
I spoke with her. The second time they weren't picked up. So that's not working either. Now, the whole of 37th Street, as you know, now, I think your problem is, or in my opinion, you've got two different things that you need to address. You have the very close-quartered commercial properties, like you have on 37th, and then you have the rural areas. Now, I'm the one that did the time study for you. And I'll tell you right now, your problem is in the rural areas. I timed it. 37th Street is not inefficient, even with the backyard pickup. And they were very, very efficient. And it's because everybody puts their things in bags. They run through there, zip through there, pick them up, and they're gone. Your problem is in the rural areas where they were having to walk down long roads or driveways or across yards. That's where your problem is in the rural areas. Now, like you say, you guys probably take yours to the road, like I do where I live in Georgia, but I live here too. But on 37th Street, we don't have the land. There's just no room for that. And it's so congested in there. You know, if we put our cans out, we got to put them behind our cars. And with people with the rentals, I mean, you know, you got cars that's going to whip in there, and then no garbage cans there, going to run over it or back over it or whatever. And it's hard for even just cars to get up and down through there, much less having garbage cans there. And then you've got the mail lady that's trying to come through also. I think you have to consider your congested commercial areas versus the rural areas. And you do need to do some time studies. It showed us a lot. Like I said, 37th Street's not your problem. These areas up in here is not your problem, because these guys zip down that street in the middle, they go both ways, and they're right there close to the truck. And they get that garbage picked up really fast. But your problem is out in the rural areas. But like I said, I wish you guys would solve the problem for us on 37th that has no room, has no land. All we have is a right-of-way. And those cars have got to go in and out of there. We've got to park somewhere. So it's really a problem. And when you guys figure out that for us, I would really appreciate it. But the backyard pickup, we've had no problems. I know there was some rumors that somebody, you know, all these problems with some lady, which that wasn't on 37th Street. We've never had a problem on 37th Street. And we do appreciate the garbage men. They smile. We smile at them. We thank them. We're appreciative of them. And they've never you know, said to us not once that they minded coming behind there. We've never had any problems. The gates are not problems. They're open. You just push or pull, whichever way you want to go. And like I said, they're through there in a snap. And you guys, I think I did the article in the paper. You have the stats on the time studies. And I think you do need to do a little more time studies on where your problem areas are and aren't. Thank you.
She made me think of a question I meant to ask you before. The townhouses on 40th Street with the teal colored roofs across from Pizza Place. How do they do it? Oh, they have, that, I just thought of it, they have little porches, they usually keep their garbage can right there, and they pull it out to the road. Okay, I was thinking maybe they went in the back, because there is a gate that goes all the way back there, but they don't do that. They do pull it out to the road, that's right, okay, all right. The 37th Street is a different situation. Pelican's Roost is a different situation. We have other sort of condos, but not real condos, that have the same kind of situation. So, like I said, one size does not fit all. Trying to hold my tongue on some things. Again, we are agreeing that we need to tweak the ordinance. The emergency ordinance lasts 90 days, Mr. Mayor?
90 days.
90 days, so no matter how we tweak it, we have to continue to work on the issue to come up with a plan. Is your suggestion, sir, to go back forever?
No, my suggestion is to pass an emergency ordinance to solve the problem today. We got 90 days to talk about all the ordinance in detail. There's other things in the ordinance I want to change, and I got to bring this up. Today, I picked up a toilet beside the road because I didn't want it beside the road. It looked really bad. It wasn't my toilet. Guess what it cost me to dump that toilet in the city yard? $25 for a $50 toilet. I got the receipt in my pocket, paid it out of my pocket. The ordinance ain't right.
I agree with you.
All right, so after 90 days, if for some reason this council doesn't do anything, will it revert back to
Yes, it will.
this ordinance of
Just like it
before the
is.
emergency change?
Emergency ordinances are only good for 90 days. And if there's no changes, we would have to change the ordinance in that 90 days to accomplish it past the 90-day period. And we must have a supermajority at this table, a vote of at least 4 to enact an emergency ordinance to give us that 90 days. So if 4 of us don't agree, it won't get passed, and the only thing we can do at that point is to take a normal course to revise the ordinance if we feel like it needs to be revisions.
So,
Oh, no.
I'm Sandy Bailey, I live at 205 Carolina. Love your suggestion of flexibility, but I have been through all these meetings, heard almost everything about the ordinance. It was my understanding that when you passed the ordinance, we would take it to the street, which I do not mind, but that the sanitation workers would take it back to where the cans belong, behind the house, in racks, behind the house or on the side. Now, we live in the residential section, and it ain't happening, Philip. They're actually taking the cans.
To the front of the house.
That's not what we said, Philip.
That's what the ordinance says.
That's not what y'all said you were gonna do. I know what the ordinance don't say that, it's not clear. But this is what they do. This nice house, got a nice little trash bin. They take the empty trash cans and they just sit them outside the bin instead of putting them over in the bin so they can't get knocked over. They take ours, they dump them, then they bring them back to the carport and just leave them there. We have bins in the back. I don't think that's the way that I understood it to work. I don't mind taking them to the street, but I thought this is what y'all said, that y'all would take them back to where the cans belong. Well, I think that needs to be tweaked.
Thank you.
I do think that needs to be clarified. I agree that needs to be clarified and tweaked.
So I'm not sure I agree with it.
My name's Bill Hill. I live at 214 Water Drive. First of all, I'd second what she says. I put my garbage can by the street, and the garbage men have been picking them up I've been living there 14 years, and they will take them back to about 10 feet from wherever my garbage cans stay and sit them in my grass. And now I have nice little dead grass spots in my yard where they set the garbage cans down. Just backing up, as far as exceptions are concerned, I'm not sure that we have, I will say, computer programs on the garbage trucks that will tell the garbage man which house they go behind and pick up the garbage, which house they go over here and pick up the garbage. All of the exceptions to the rule that he's talking about. I can understand why somebody's garbage got missed, that they had agreed in good faith they were going to go behind the house and get it, is because the guy that picked it up, probably not the guy that worked the truck the other day, and it just got left. So all of these exceptions to the rules, you're going to have to figure out how to handle them because they're going to get unwieldy. And the last thing I'll say is in support of what you said. On 36th Street, south of 98, there are 2 piles of garbage or debris that have been there for 6 months. One of them has rusted out barbecue grills, pieces of somebody's old fence that they tore down, yard debris, all of this stuff. And every time I go to the beach, I walk by it. It's on the west side. There's another pile on the east side. There's not quite as big. And there needs to be some ability for that to get picked up. If it was in my yard, you wouldn't pick it up. You'd say, if you want it picked up, Bill, you're going to have to pay me $30 and I'll come get it. It's in a vacant lot that the person who owns it had nothing to do with dumping there. And in the spirit of trying to have a nice city, the city needs to pick it up.
I have one clarification for the council. We've discussed adding a truck. We've discussed the yard debris that's behind. I want everyone to know there are 2 positions open in the city in the sanitation department. Have been for 2 months. That's how many applicants we get.
I think we get some help with garbage from another county as well. People driving through, and if there's anything beside the road, it has a tendency to grow. Not necessarily everybody's coming from Gulf or Panama City, I'm sure of not. But we do get some help, especially from Gulf County, on people going in and charging people over there for doing shrub cleanup or whatever, and then bringing it over here. And we've caught a few people doing that, dumping it on our city. And that's good to catch those kind of people. But anytime there's a pile of something laying somewhere, it has a tendency to grow. And so you're right, we need to get to this as quick as possible. And I think that's what the mayor had in mind, is trying to generate some more man hours a week to help offset those problems. And I'm all for that. I've picked up a few things and taken to the landfill, but it's been brush, and so they haven't charged, to the, back behind Public Works. I haven't picked up a toilet yet, and I don't think I will if I'm gonna charge me $25.
Me neither, I'm calling Philip with that.
If we change this, what is this saying to the people who have accommodated the new ordinance versus the people that have said, I'm not going to follow it. Let them see what they're going to do with us. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to get another trash can. Let's just throw the trash in the bags and put it alongside the road. So what are we saying to the people that have said, you know what, I might not like this, but it's a new ordinance, let's work with it?
You say you was wrong before you just started.
Well, I think we all agreed in the one size fits all. So if I can make my proposal again, I don't want to make it in a motion form yet because we really hadn't addressed it. Mr. Hill did in the exceptions, and I wasn't talking about individual exceptions because they don't want to take out the trash. It was shocking to me to find out how many coastal towns, much larger than us, who don't just have 10,000 visitors a few times a year, they have 10,000 visitors every weekend. So much larger, much higher end resort areas require their vacationers to take out the garbage, and they comply. There's always rule breakers, we understand that. So when I talk about exceptions, I'm not talking about because Mr. Joe doesn't want to haul his garbage out. I'm talking Pelican's Roost, 37th Street, other pockets, in basically all of this side of town, vacation rentals. Maybe we can deal with just vacation rentals as some kind of exception or modification. That's what I'm talking about. Ladies with broken hips. I mean, that's just common sense. So we're not talking about that. We have to tweak the ordinance. I understand that. So my suggestion would be, if we leave it the same, that takes care of the people who are complying. Most people know about the rule. There's still people that don't. They'll eventually get it. So they continue to take it out to the curb. And those pockets work with many of them already are and have been for the 90 days until we can figure it out in total. Does that accomplish the same thing, Mr. Mayor, is what I'm asking?
I don't think so, because to me it's not very clean. I had more in mind of asking for voluntary, people bring it to the curb, voluntary, and put it back the other way for everybody else until we can get it worked out. Because there could be a lot of different things. But again, all I was looking for was 90 days and fixing the immediate problem.
And going back to the way things were a month ago. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, back to the old way, which is everybody leaves their garbage can wherever they are.
But still ask people if they want to volunteer to bring it to curbside on their day, go ahead and do that.
Those are the people who have been doing it for years.
Well, that's true, yeah.
But
But I think you've got to I think we must go back to the way things were a month ago. Right now, tomorrow, as soon as possible. It's probably the last applause I'll get all year.
We'll remember you at elections.
Yeah.
But what Mary was saying was to keep it as is, change this ordinance, keeping it as is with the exception of Pelican's Roost, 37th Street, and any other pockets. And, all right, wait a minute, that's my opinion, okay? That's my opinion.
I think we have
Now, we can respectfully disagree with each other.
I think we have to remember the employees. If we keep talking, we're going to have them so confused, they're not going to know what to do. And I think if we go back to the way things were a month ago, I mean, even though some of us don't maybe like the idea, it's the simplest, easiest fix right now. And I think that's where the mayor's coming from. Let's make it as quick and easy as possible, because as everybody knows in this room, the next week or two is going to be hellacious around here as far as people go. And maybe we need to go watch the Pier Road there, even more than we've been in the past. But we've got to get some kind of something done where it's down in concrete and everybody is halfway happy with it, even though it may not be the same for somebody over on this street and the same on 37th Street. I've kind of done 180 here because of what I've seen in the last week or two and what I've heard in talking to the residents. Everybody's not quite the same, and I always thought everybody was kind of the same. We had to do this, this, and this, but this is an unusual little town, and I think we need to remember that it's an unusual little town, and we need to try to operate as cleanly and as efficiently and as cheaply as possible. Now, down the road, that may be difficult, because where we're coming from with the curbside pickup, who knows, we might get 50% of the people here bringing their garbage to the curb just to see how it works. Who knows? Because I find most of the people that live here, the permanent people, are very cooperative. And we all like where we live, and the reason we like where we live is just like Al said, we've loved it for years. But there's going to have to be some changes down the road, because we just can't keep going the way we're going with the community beginning to grow like it's growing. If you drive around and you look at the new houses and the property being cleared, I don't know, what we've had, 30, how many houses have we had in the last 2 years? 30 or 40? 52 houses. 52 in the last 2 years. Well, that's kind of scary in itself. Yeah, well, you get another truck, we got to get more money. But so I think we need to really look at this. You know, there's one thing I've thought about, and I mentioned this today, is let's get a 90-gallon can for the garbage guys to take over their shoulder and walk to the back of the house, where you've got the elderly people that have one garbage can full. They dump it in that 90-pound and take it back to the truck, leave the garbage cans right where they are. We did that, that worked real well, but that was 40 years ago. But it still works well because the staff knows the people that has much garbage. The people have been doing this same route for years. They know the people that can't bring it to the curb. They know the people that are not healthy. They know their customer base. So let's say you got a 90-gallon can. Take it back and dump a 32-gallon can in it and take it back to the truck. Leave the cans right there. That saved you a trip back there already. That's one real simple, easy way to save some time and money.
We've got an immediate problem right now, and I'm afraid if we start trying to tweak, I may not get to eat supper tonight. So.
No, we can't, we can't tweak the ordinance tonight.
Yeah,
no.
but we got a problem right now, and, you know, maybe we need to address that right now, take care of this problem for July the 4th.
So you're saying go back to like it was a month ago?
Yeah,
like
I mean, the more I hear, we got, it's a lot of things we're gonna have to do, not just one or two.
So I want to say I agree with Jerry, scary.
Did you say scary?
Scary Jerry. You know, I'm going to change my mind on my verbiage because of one simple sentence that he said. Let's not confuse the garbage men right now.
We're all confused right now.
But, so let me ask you, so my question goes to you. Let's say we do this and we go back to curbside, no questions asked. Everybody, if the garbage can's at the road, of course they take it from the road. But everybody else, they do exactly what they have always done in the past. That is less confusing.
Said at the very beginning of this meeting, whatever you guys decide, that's exactly what we'll do.
And then in 90 days, we will have a new ordinance that addresses curbside along with some modifications.
That'll be amazing if we can do that in 90 days.
Well, we better start at the next meeting.
We have to have an active dialogue over that 90 days. to determine what is
Absolutely,
best.
yeah, a lot of active dialogue.
So maybe if we serve pizza and beer, people will come and give us their 2 cents in that 90 days, you think? And take the trash with them.
All right.
You got
One more comment, and we're going to wrap this up, please.
My name's Richard Holcomb. I live at 104B South 37th Street. Been there since October of 1990. Been here a while, and I've seen a lot of mayors and a lot of council, okay? Do y'all know what that's for? Okay. Now, if I live in a section of townhouses, I've got to drag my garbage can all the way through other people's backyard around to the front, or, like Jim pointed out, drag it through my house. If my physician in the state of Florida says that I'm not able to do that, how come you people that's supposed to be working for us are even questioning it?
Mr. Holcomb, we are not questioning that whatsoever. No, sir.
All right, why don't we go back to what we had? It's been working, and I've tried to talk to people. You guys don't want to talk to us, you've already got your mind made up.
No, that's not so.
Have you heard our
Well, you haven't,
Wait.
and the mayor hasn't, but apparently some of these other people have. Let me say something else. The garbage man and the police department is the only thing in the 25 years that I've lived here that I felt like I got anything out of. Okay? The rest of the tax money I've been paying, I don't know where it goes, and don't give a rat's truth. Okay? But when I ask something, I expect people to remember that I am a citizen and you people work for us. Okay? That's all I've got to say.
I was under the impression,
Hold on.
okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
I was under the impression.
Okay.
Make a motion.
No,
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve an emergency ordinance to set aside one sentence in sanitation ordinance 633 to continue backdoor service over the next 90 days?
wait a minute. Can I say something?
Hold on. I'm asking for a motion.
Motion to read.
Motion to read?
Yeah, don't adopt it. Read it first.
We're not going to adopt it. I want to know if there's a motion.
Oh,
Is there a motion to
Read.
go this direction?
Adrian's saying we need to have a motion to read it first. Is that what you're saying? And then we adopt?
I know by title only. We can do that. All right.
Okay, so moved.
We have a motion to read by title only. Is there a second?
Second.
Please read
I know,
the emergency
that's
ordinance
right.
by title only.
Ordinance number 639, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach finding that an emergency exists requiring action prior to the influx of people for the Independence Day holiday, deleting the requirement from ordinance 633 that trash cans must be taken to the curb on the scheduled day of pickup, repealing ordinances in conflict to the extent of that conflict, providing for severability, providing an immediate effective date as an emergency measure.
Okay, did everybody understand the ordinance?
I want to make sure before I vote that if we're taking out the curbside pickup and making arrangements, in 90 days from today, if we don't settle anything, it automatically goes back to curbside.
Correct. Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay,
Emergency ordinance is
Okay.
good for 90 days.
all right. That's
So we'd
why-
have to change things within that 90 days.
Correct.
That's correct.
Which I have a feeling we probably would.
Well,
Hold on, guys. Everybody understand it?
Yep.
All right, then this is a whole lot easier.
Yes,
We
this is
either have a
not
motion
covered.
to adopt or a motion not to adopt this ordinance.
Can I ask a question?
You can ask the question.
Does this mean we're going back to the way things were a month ago?
Just under.
Real plain and simple, so everybody understands what we're voting on?
That is the only thing that has changed.
Okay.
For
wait,
90.
wait a minute, because 30 days is, what's this, June, July, August, September? Okay, as long as we have it done by October 1st, because then it goes to one,
And that actually goes into the new
Right,
fiscal year as well.
right, so it doesn't completely go back to the other, because we didn't cross that line out. In other words, October 1st, we go to one pickup a week.
If nothing changes, this entire thing that we are doing right now is void September 28th.
Okay,
We have to read the ordinance twice in order to pass
Correct.
it. So we have to have our ducks in a row
Correct.
in 30 days.
One
yes.
time.
There's some folks on the floor don't understand what we're talking about. There's a provision in Florida law for us to have an emergency ordinance that is only good for 90 days. It addresses a specific need and an urgent need. And that's what we're talking about. The ordinance itself, in a normal course of passing an ordinance, you have to decide what the ordinance is, you have to read it, then you have to have public comment on it, and then you have to have another meeting a month later. It takes 2 months to change an ordinance. If we do not have an emergency ordinance here tonight by a vote of at least 4 members of this table, then we cannot go back to backdoor pickup tomorrow or the next day. We cannot do that. It's going to take 2 months to change this ordinance in any way that we choose to change it. Okay, everybody kind of understand better? That's why that I've asked that we do this. But that's my opinion. There are 5 folks up here to vote. There are 5 ideas up here at this table.
And that, like Linda says, if we don't have it changed in 90 days, it goes back to curbside.
It goes back to its current state if we have
Correct,
not
yes.
amended it.
Exactly, okay, all right, we're all on the same page.
You're not repealing 633, you're
Right.
striking your line.
Right.
That's
That's
it.
right,
Yeah.
for 90 days.
Okay.
All right, a motion to adopt or reject.
So moved.
Which one?
Huh?
Which one? Adopt or reject?
Oh, to adopt what you wanted to
We have a
do.
motion to adopt. Is there a
I'm
second?
confused.
Second. There's a motion and a second.
Jesus.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Blackburn?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes.
Okay, so,
It's concluded.
But change this before you start.
could I say something? I think the gentleman that came up with the handicapped, we were still going to take care of them anyway, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're handicapped or ill, or say you've had surgery and our crew knows about it, even if we had it behind the curbside, we'd come back and pick up your garbage.
It's important to note, whether the guys know or not, you need to call it in. You can't expect us to just remember everybody out there.
1 second. Pam, if you can hear me in the back room, can you switch the DVD as well?
Can we
Can't hear that.
have groups from the 37